The journey is conversations with ordinary people about stories of transformation and how we may have had setbacks in our life and how we persevered through those, how we've learned from those obstacles, and how they've maybe helped us on our path today.
Well, welcome to The Journey. I am Kevin Polky, and I am the host of The Journey. And we have a return guest, Brigham Weyrauch. He has been with us. We were just talking about it back. First time was in 2021, and then again in the winter of 2022. And been a busy guy. A lot of things going on, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But had an opportunity to see you when you come to the Illinois area. You did Sierra's wedding last October, and then I know you did a couple of the Clark's weddings last fall as well, Zach and Olivia's weddings. So, Brigham, welcome back to The Journey.
Thank you so much for having me. Like you mentioned, I just listened to some of the snippets of our last episodes, and it's always funny to come back and kind of be able to reflect and catch up and chat. So thank you for having me as always. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. And so why don't you, just for any new listeners that may not be familiar with your story, why don't you just give us a little bit of background about your story and where you're from, and then how you end up doing what you're doing now in Montana.
Sure. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Rockford, Illinois, and then went to Rockford Christian High School, and then went to University of Wisconsin La Crosse in La Crosse, Wisconsin for 5 years. And then shortly after that, had a calling to move to the mountains. And so sure enough, made the jump to come out to Missoula, Montana. Before I moved, I was already DJing special events in the Midwest, as well as bars and clubs in my college town, and I wanted to be able to continue my career. However, I didn't know that this is where I would be now, so I'm excited to talk about that as well. So I reached out to a company in Montana, asked them for a job, and they hired me pretty much on the spot. Moved out here in November of 2019 and don't have any plans of leaving anytime soon. So, and then of course, kind of with the beard company, which we'll talk about as well, during COVID, shut down all private events, all large gatherings. So I was already making my own beard oil, had a beard back then, and just kind of had enough drive and enough downtime during that time to take it to the next level and start producing our all natural products. And we started with 4 oils, and now we have, I think, over 50 different products on our website that you can choose from and order. So it's exciting to watch that grow and to be where I am. And I'm excited to chat about it because even listening to and looking back where I was even 2 years ago, I can just hear myself talking and see the mental space that I was in and how different it is now from then. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, well, let's jump into the beer comp, because I want to kind of wrap up with some of the exciting things you're doing with the DJing. But why don't
Sure.
you first kind of tell us a little bit about what have you noticed as you step back and two more years as being an entrepreneur in the beard company, and obviously competing against all these other other market share, trying to get your own market share regarding that. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. I've been using your beard oil now for probably going on 3 years at
I'd
least.
say probably since it started, pretty much,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yep, and I've been getting smarter. I make larger orders now, so I don't run. So,
There you go. There you
so
go.
that's been the good thing. Plus the body oil too is when I prefer the scent of On the Rocks, and that one with the body oil as well as the bird oil. That definitely I prefer that one of the other ones, including the candle. I have the candles too.
There you go. The
So
whole house is smelling like whiskey. I love
there you
it.
go. So yeah, why don't you kind of as you step back and look at where you've been at in the last couple years regarding the beer company? Yeah, kind of fill us in on that.
So yeah, it continues to grow day by day. Just kind of some of the things that you asked about, like what I've seen that stays the same or may change. Just from a business owner standpoint, it's, as things grow, you really learn a lot about not only your business, but yourself and what you can mentally and physically handle. So for our company, I hand make everything that we have. So, everything aside from the candles, I have a friend of mine who makes those for us, but every oil and every balm that we have, I hand make myself in my house. So it's been fun and challenging to work with that and realize what my limitations are as how much I can produce. So now, even from the last time that we chatted, we've gone from 2 retailers to now we have close to 15. So now we're producing on a larger scale to fill orders for supermarkets, for local boutique shops, and other people that want to sell their products. So it's kind of navigating that as well as also keeping our consistency with our online orders at the same time. So it's a whole different ballgame when you step into wholesaling and selling wholesaling too, because you're not just trying to make that one-on-one sale. You're trying to convince someone to invest a larger amount of money into what your product is and what you believe it can do for potentially their store. But now on a consumer side, like a person to person or business B2P, I think they say business to person kind of sale. One thing that stayed consistent from the beginning is just the significance and the importance of the personal connection that we share with our customers. We do the best sales and the best experiences with our sales when we get to do them in person, which is really tough because we do live in a very online driven economy. So a lot of people are ordering just like you, ordering stuff online. And obviously you've known me for a while, but there's a lot of people that don't know me or haven't met me that are ordering our products. So we do our best at our in-person markets to be able to create an experience and have a conversation to make sure that when someone walks away from our stand, that we're creating a lifelong customer and a lifelong relationship and not something that's just like, oh, we just want your $15 for this one bottle of oil and then we'll never see you again. And that's honestly some of the best feedback that we've gotten from our customers is not only do they love our products, but they love that we're real people, that there's real people behind the product. There's real people that are selling the product. For example, this is a reason why I also wanted to push the podcast to today is not this past weekend as in yesterday, but a week before that, we were at a music festival called Red Ants Pants Music Festival in White Sulphur Springs, Montana. Middle of nowhere, Montana, but a beautiful spot. And the people that come to that festival are it's just a great group of people, all walks of life, all ages. The music festival is very country folk centered, so it's a lot more chill. It's not super rowdy, but we crush there because people get to come up and we're there all weekend long. So people can come up to us multiple times, chat with us, say they buy something on Friday, we'll probably talk to them maybe once or twice again throughout the weekend. And we love that because they can come up and hang out with us. And I brought what I consider our whole crew with us. So my girlfriend, Allie, my roommate, Jake, who typically runs our markets for us, and then another really good friend of ours, Sydney. We brought all 4 of us. So that way, when people come to our stand, we can each take the chance to chat with somebody about the product, but also just have a good conversation because I think people just really love to be heard and love to be talked to. So,
Well, I think there's 100, I mean, without a doubt, and I wouldn't be, a customer ongoing, if the quality wasn't there, right? And so,
sure,
and I've used other beard oils and other body oils and it's either too much or there's not really the scent isn't, I prefer more of those woodsy scents, so it's not strong enough or it's too overbearing, right? But for me also, I appreciate, just like you were just talking about, the story behind it and then the personalization of it as well. So I think
sure.
right now, I mean, and that's the hard part, and maybe that's the next question I was going to ask you, is that now that you're going, from a wholesale standpoint, how does that what have you been learning to transition that into being able to have them have them do that at the grocery store or wherever? I know a friend
Sure.
of he was a local brewery in Rockford, one of the first breweries in Rockford, and he brought his beer to all the different restaurants. And then after about a year, he pulled them out because some of the restaurants weren't cleaning the lines, and it was
Sure.
changing the quality of his product. And so, yeah, what have you learned about that so far, and what have you been doing to try to work it so they get that personal feel?
So just like I mentioned with the relationships with the customers, I also have great relationships with all my retailers. So a lot of my retailers I know for not like an extended period of time, but at least a little bit before, typically people don't come to me and buy that day wholesale and walk away and have no idea what we're talking about. There's some wholesalers that I was working on our relationship for over a year before I approached them and was like, I want you to sell my stuff because ultimately, like I said, there can be a product on the shelf, but if there's no way for you to like test it, because we're an all natural product, so you're not supposed to open it or touch it, and you can smell it, but it's hard to like, you can't sample it in the store. So it's trying to make sure that my relationship with the wholesalers is just as good, so they're educated on the product so that they can have a conversation with the customer. So because the amount of sales or the amount of increase in sales that I'll see when I have a wholesaler tell me that they like, oh, we recommend your stuff all the time, is skyrockets versus, okay, it's just sitting on a shelf and it's just there. So for example, the first retailer that we ever had, Patty Creek Market, is our local grocery store. My girlfriend and I shop there multiple times a week, and we know the names of all the people that check our carts. We know the manager, I know the owner, like, and they're so supportive and they love us as people. And so they don't have any problem promoting our product to people that, and lucky for us at that store specifically, our stand is right by the checkout. So it's really easy for people to see it or smell it and have somebody just say something, hey, my husband uses that. It's the best. Like, you should grab it. So I think that's a significant player in kind of making sure that we continue that through the community, is just having other people that do love your product. And like you said, which is one of the things, looking at the whole scope of this whole process, is one of the things that I was kind of the most surprised by, is just how much people love the quality of the product. I thought in the beginning I was doing something good, but I don't think I realized how good it was until I had other people be like, I've tried thousands of beard oils and yours is my favorite. I've tried all these other things, yours is my favorite. And it's humbling, to say the least, because I didn't, in the beginning I was like, I have no idea if anybody's gonna like this. And now there's people like you that are like, I will literally never use anything ever again. This is the only thing I've ever wanted. So I think continuing that relationship with the wholesalers and kind of training them and also teaching them kind of some of the lingo and some of the important buzzwords that help, people believe in what they're buying, helps a lot. So like I said, a lot of the retailers that we target are locally owned stores. So we're not in any big box stores. We're not in any Walgreens or Walmarts. So anywhere that you see our product, there's a really good chance that the person at the desk or the person checking you out knows me personally, has met me personally, or has used the product themselves. So I think that helps a lot.
Sure. Yeah. No, it makes sense, because it's similar to what I've done with, like, for example, Shatter Our Silence. That people that been through the trainings, they've listened to me do the workshops a couple times. They wear the T-shirt. People ask, what's SOS stand for? And they're able to tell the story from their perspective and how
Exactly.
it's impacted their life. And that testimony is the greatest amount of credibility that anybody could ask that
Absolutely.
workshop. Yeah, 100,
Absolutely.
100%. And
If you,
at the end of the day, it's as you were saying, it's all about relationship, right? And
yep.
a quality product or a quality service and relationship. Well, let me add, regarding the Briggs Beard Company, if you had to tell your younger self when you first started,
Oh man.
if you had to tell your younger self something that you now know but didn't know then, and something you were worried about then, and what would you tell
It's funny because I think about this all the time, and I think the answer changes on a daily basis, because
them? Sure,
sometimes I'll run into a roadblock and I'll be like, oh, or like I'll finally reach an achievement and I'll be like, I should have done this better. But I think the biggest thing would just honestly be patience. Growing a company the way that you want it to, without it being like a get rich quick scheme, for lack of better words, is so much harder than I kind of expected. Because in my brain, when I started the company, I kind of thought, I'm like, oh, if I could just get this to blow up really quick, I'll just be able to make a bunch of money. But then I quickly realized that that's not what I wanted. And it wasn't really about the money in the beginning. Of course, obviously everybody wants their business to do good and they want to be successful in their own light of what they think that looks like. But I think as I saw the transition of like, I actually really just want to have a really badass product that people are so excited about that nothing else really matters. The money will come and it will be there, and the company will always grow. But I think the reputation and the look and the feel of what our company is what matters to me the most. And it's taken a lot of time to get to where, I mean, this is the fourth year of, we just had our 4-year anniversary a couple weeks ago. So, and everybody's like, oh, you don't make money for the first 5 years as a business. And, and that's, it's all perspective, how you look at finances and all those things. And I kept telling myself that, and it kind of like, I think it was the wrong mentality to have, because I think it wasn't, I was too focused on, okay, I need to have a profit. I need to have, this amount of money for me to think my business is successful. But now, just like I said, now when we go to these music festivals and these different markets and people come back to see us and we're like, we literally came here just to see you because we want your product because we love it so much. That's priceless. And for me, as a person that works in the service industry, the value of that and having a lifelong customer and someone, like you said, who can tell the story maybe even better than I can, is just, like I said, it's a priceless thing to have, as a business owner, a small business owner for the very least. I mean, it's just like, for your work, word of mouth is amazing. I had Kevin Polky as my XYZ, and he was able to help me with all these things, and I feel so much better now. Like that, like you said, that's a priceless thing to have as a business owner, and that's gonna lead to so much more success in the future. So I think patience would be a big thing. So
Yeah, and when you said patience, the thing that came to mind, or I should say, what I tell myself now that I've left KP and now are full time at Four Corners Wellness, as well as Shadow or Silence. It's trust the process, right? It's
right,
just you got this put in place. Trust the process. Be patient with that process, but it'll be okay. And
right.
and
I
that
think
isn't scary though.
right, and I think that answer to your question also comes a lot from the DJ side of my business. And because, I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit, but I've seen significant growth since the last time that we chatted. And it's a culmination of a lot of things that I've been working at for so long. So I've owned the beard oil business for 4 years, but I've been DJing professionally for over 10 now, which is crazy to think because I'm 28. So I've been doing it actually. So technically I've been even doing it longer than that. You could even say 12 years, because I bought my first board when I was 16, but it's a long game. It's not a short game, and the relationships that you build in all aspects of life are the things that are going to propel you forward the most. And just because I tell people all this time, like they're like, oh, what do you like? What's your biggest, kind of like you said, what would you tell your younger self? Of course, be patient, but like be a good person. Like there's being a good person and being nice to people and having good relationships with people from all over everywhere is an extremely underrated thing, especially in the service industry, because I've seen it. Even though I met someone 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I've now, it comes to a point where like something's come of our relationship to where, it's helped my business, whether they just tell somebody about me, spread the word, use the product, or hire me for something. So I think just being a good person and, like you said, trusting the process is an underrated thing to do. So
Well, yeah, jumping into, it's been 10/12 years that you've been, DJing, and then you said the last couple years things have really, kind of hit another level of growth. And so tell us a little bit about that and some of the things that you've experienced over the last couple of years. And
sure. So last time we chatted, I was working full time for a DJ agency or a company, if you will. I worked for one in the Midwest, which I still contract for in the Midwest, Lux Productions. They're great people. And then out here in Montana for a different company, which I still, if they need my help, I'll work with them. But since we've last chatted, I pretty much have gone completely solo. So I book all my own events. I provide all my own equipment. I do the contracts, the invoices, the emails, the phone calls. I do all of those things. So that was a big jump that I took starting basically this summer. I mean, I kind of started making the transition late last year, and now this summer is the first summer that I've gone pretty much full into it all on my own. So, like I said, I'm handling all the logistics behind every event. So that has been a huge step for me. Um, but one of the most rewarding and fun, but most difficult decisions I ever made, just because it's I feel like I'm finally in charge of everything that I've put all this work into. Whereas like before it was kind of like, oh, we're sending you here, we're sending you here. Whereas like now everybody who comes to me and wants to book me for an event, I'm the only contact that they have. So they come directly to me. And it's been a lot of fun because also in the last year I've gotten to see, kind of like you said, the fruits of my labor that have come out, especially since moving to Montana. Because when I moved to Montana, I didn't know anybody. I moved here with my dog at the time, and I didn't know anybody. And I told myself when I came here that I was going to try to build something so unique and so special by just putting my nose to the grindstone and just kind of keep getting after it. And now I feel like, especially this year, I finally have seen, like I said, the fruits of the labor of what that looks like. So just for example, for what that looks like, to someone who may not understand, this year alone I booked 35 weddings. So I'll do 35 weddings. I also am now the official DJ for the professional baseball team here in town. So the Missoula Paddleheads, I DJ for them on a weekly basis. Shields, the department store here. Funny enough, I am also their like official DJ. They do events all the time, so I DJ for them. And then most recently, and the thing I'm most excited about, which I'm glad that I'm on here to talk about it, but I have kind of become the official DJ for the Montana Grizzlies. So the University of Montana here hires me to do a lot of DJing for their sporting events. So last year, I got to do basketball, both men and women's, and then this year I'll be doing some volleyball. And then you're actually one of the first people that I've told that I'm gonna do this, but I'll actually be DJing some of the football games as well. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, so which is honestly been like my biggest goal because it's literally the biggest stadium in the state. And I was like, I'll never forget this. And I was going to talk to my dad about this too. But as you come into Missoula, you come through the canyon, and the first thing that you see is the football stadium. It's right there on the hillside. It's massive, 25,000 people. It's a big stadium, for all intents and purposes. And I remember pulling into town, and I looked at that, and I like mentally, I'm just like, I want to DJ there. I'm like, that's the biggest place in town. I'm like, I want to do whatever it's going to take. I want to DJ there. And that was 6 years ago. So now, finally, this year, homecoming of this year, I'll be in the stands DJing for the football game, which is like one of the coolest things that I can say that I will get to do and will ever have to do. Because that's just like, I told Allie, I'm like, I think I might just retire after I'm done because I'm just like, I'm just hanging up. I'm like, this is it. So, but yeah, it's been rewarding to say the least, but also very difficult. And this is kind of something to tie it all together. One of the big things too that I'm learning as of recently with both companies is just not only obviously the mental and physical toll of making product, but balancing the two. I am not, you know, sad to say or ashamed to say that, sometimes the beard oil business takes a little bit of a backseat. We still ship, we still at the markets every week. Nothing is changing about it. Our product doesn't suffer by any means, but maybe more of the marketing side of things, posting on social media and all that stuff when it's full-time DJ season. Because DJ season for me is like how I make ends meet. That's how I pay my bills. And then the beard oil company is kind of it fuels itself and it grows itself as far as like a financial standpoint. So that's been a major juggling act for me this summer specifically is, being a lot more intentional about my time and how I invest myself into both my businesses to make sure that both get the time that they need to grow and continue to move forward. So
Yeah, and having had more than one business going at the same time, even if there is an aspect of it going in the same direction, right? And I imagine that, as you've been developing your own personal brand, and because Briggs Beard Oils is an extension of who you are, not only because you use the product, not only because you make the product, but it's your imagery. You know what I mean? It's
right.
your then it's like a natural thing that, oh yeah, of course he has a beard company as you're DJing,
Right.
it only makes sense, right? And so even though they go in the same direction and they complement each other or can complement each other, it's still a lot of energy when you are, one of the primary, you're doing the majority of the work regarding these
Right.
things. And you
Right.
got people helping you, but it's learning how to find that balance of that energy. And especially when it starts going to that next level of momentum.
Sure.
And
Yep.
so let me ask you, do you think, now, again, it's so hard to know, right? That is it, where the flywheel is right now from a standpoint of momentum, or is it because all of a sudden you switched and started doing everything under your own brand versus primarily contracting underneath other people? What do you
Sure.
think it was? Or maybe it's a combination of both.
As far as like what makes it difficult or
What
froze.
makes what do you think it was the big push this year, or what allowed that next level of jump as far as how many weddings you were doing, how many events you were doing, those types of things?
Sure.
Do
Again, a lot just back to kind of the relationships, a lot of I mean, I could tell you, I could literally break down for you how I got some of these gigs that I got. I mean, in just to like, for example, I DJ'd an event 4 years ago at a ski hill, and it was the end of the year party. In the crowd was the entertainment director for the baseball team. He saw me DJ. The next year they wanted a DJ. He already had seen me DJ. He asked me to come DJ. Now, the director of stadium operations and the manager of some other things at the baseball stadium was only there for 2 years, then left and went to the university. Got on their marketing team, and they're like, "Oh, we need a DJ," and then they contacted me. So it's like it's the trickle effect of years of growth, not only for myself, but I think other people in the community. Is like when people go to different places and they know me and they like the experience that they had with me, whether wherever it was, some of those people kind of graduate to, different positions that may need me for different things. So as far as the workload, I think, like you said, just kind of going out on my own, like I said, there's a lot more to handle, as far as just the logistics and the business operations. But even from the beginning when I moved here, I mean, when I first moved here and I was DJing, I did like maybe 15 or 20 weddings that year. And that was like just one wedding every weekend and just kind of spaced out. And I didn't have to do any of the logistics. I literally got all my information on a Wednesday, and then I worked the one day of the week on the Saturday. Now it's, I'm DJing 3 to 4 to 5 days a week, because I'm doing a lot more weekday work for some of my retailers or the sports teams. So it's just like the additive and the kind of constant growing of like people just needing, or not needing, but wanting me to be in specific places. So I think it's just growth over time that I'm finally seeing, which I'm super stoked about, because like I said, when I watched the podcast from the last time that we talked, and I was just like, I'm like, oh, he has no idea. He has no idea what's about to happen. But like I could still tell in my tone of voice and the way that I was saying things that I wanted it to happen. And then I was like, I was still trusting that it could happen. But I was like, this guy has no idea. Like he doesn't know what's about to happen. And he's going to be so stoked for what he sees and what he experiences, because this is just the beginning of the groundwork and the framework of what I've been trying to build for a long time. And I finally feel like, the experience I'm creating for people and the way that I go about my business is exactly the way that I want it to be. Because like you said, I called it Brigs Beard Company for a reason, because I wanted to be the face. I wanted to be up front, and I wanted to be the front man of it, because I love embodying that, and I love the being there and talking to people and sharing that experience with those around me. And I didn't want to hide behind some facade of some random name of a company, just like when you started KP Counseling, like it's Kevin Polky Counseling. That's what it was, because your brand and your name holds such a strong place that once you get those relationships in place and you continue to nurture them and grow them, um, you can do anything you want. If you believe in yourself and you surround yourself with amazing people and people that believe in you, then the sky is the limit, honestly.
No, I 100% agree with you with that idea about having having an idea, having a vision, right, of what you want to be able to do. And it may not be articulated in a sentence, but it's this direction you want to go in, and
Right.
then sharing that with other people, and then inviting people of like passion to join you, as well as individuals to complement your weaknesses, right? And
Right.
to be able to offset things that take more energy to do. It takes me more energy to do the bookkeeping aspect of what I do. So those are preferable things that I'm going to outsource, right? I'm going to
Right.
hire someone, or I'm going to outsource those things so that I can spend time doing the part that I've been more, that I can get into a flow of doing. So yeah, I agree with
Right.
you 100%. Now I know that in the last month or so, they had this competition in Missoula, and so and you were granted, I believe it was the platinum award or the top award. So tell us a little bit about the history behind that, and what's the meaning and what did it mean to you?
Yes, so I did win Missoula's best local DJ, and it's, an online competition where people can go on and vote. And, there was a lot of different competition. There's a lot of good DJs in town, and, I think mostly, and then I use this as a chance to say thank you. I think this just kind of goes to show the support system that I've built around myself and the people that believe in me and what I do, and kind of the experience that I've created. And that's a big thing about the DJing is, I always wanted the experience to feel and look and be a certain way when people got to see me spin and got to be a part of that. So I think, I'm super thankful. I've got a lot of really awesome people that support me and love me and show it on a regular basis and aren't afraid about it. And that, sorry, I was like trying to actually like swallow that feeling right now because it's, I haven't even really said it out loud before. It's crazy because life is so quick and it's so fast, and you can go from bawling your eyes out because you lost a dog, and you're just getting kicked in the gut by life 1 month, and then the next month you're winning an award that you've always wanted to win, and you're hosting a party for your friends in a really cool space because that's what you've always wanted to do. So it's humbling to say the least, and if anything, it just ignites another fire under my butt to just keep going. Because I joked about, retiring after the football game, but I think now that I've reached this point, it just kind of shows that if you put the work in and you continue to, do what you believe in, and then again, surround yourself with awesome people, you can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want to go. You can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. And I think, the first couple months of DJ season this year were some of the toughest of my life, just from a personal aspect. I was dealing with some loss, some family friends. We had to put down our dog, just a lot of really tough things. And it really took a toll on me, away from work, because I provide such a very specific experience for people that when I go to work, I don't want my work to be affected by what's happening at home, because that's not fair to my clients. So I do a really good job of that. And I'm very proud of that. But I knew that I could get through it and that there was another side to it. And I felt like that winning this award and getting to this point was the other side. And it felt like it finally flipped. I kind of just had a good change in my mentality and my physicality of what I was doing. And I feel a lot better now, which is great. So yeah, it means so much. It means so much because it's an award. I think it's a silly award, when it comes down to it, but I think it's something that everybody would love to win, because it just goes to show you that all the days I spend alone in the office, hustling and bustling, and all the things that nobody ever sees or knows about, has a little bit more of a reason behind it when all of these people are watching and supporting and kind of believing in what I'm doing. So.
Well, and I think, to me, I don't know a lot about, all the ins and outs of what goes into DJing and what makes one DJ this or, over another. And, all I know is having experience since you were 16, having, been to different places where you've DJ'd over time, over the last 12 years. I think one of the things that, at least from my observation, is that you've done an awesome job of creating what you said, that experience for the event, where like being able to, like, let's say it's a wedding, being able at that wedding, that once the formalities are over, once the dinner's done, once the formalities are over, that you then, work it to make sure that um that now we're shifting over to this being a celebration and a party, and
Right.
and, and not party like, oh, getting crazy and dumping beer over, all over everybody, but having fun and utilizing the space and the energy from the music, and what the music can do to bring people out of their chair
Right.
and right. And so and how important that is for people, not only to celebrate a moment, but then also maybe to kind of put on a shelf for a moment their what other things in their life they may be worried about, right? And
Right.
I think that's one of the things that I've consistently seen you do for different events, was work, whatever they are, work it for that experience for that particular group of people.
Right.
And you happen to be the one delivering, but it wasn't about Brigham. It was
Right.
about you were the facilitator of the experience.
And I think that's, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's one of my favorite parts about where I am and what I'm doing. Because especially in Montana, specifically, 90, not 90, but maybe 80% of the couples that hire me for their wedding aren't from Montana. It's a lot of destination weddings. So I'm getting people from Texas, from Miami, from Denver, from Florida, or I already said Florida, but from all over the country that are coming here to celebrate their wedding. And, I get the chance to work with them to make their night unique based on their music taste. So I sit down with all of my couples and I really walk through all the music with them. And like I said, I had a couple from Miami just a couple weeks ago, and it was an awesome part. I played a ton of cumbia and a bunch of Latin music, and it was something that I hadn't done in a very long time or barely at all. But it was such a good party, and they were so thankful that I was able to tie in their musical taste to kind of ignite those memories and those fun times with their family and friends. And just this past weekend, the day before yesterday, I threw a party for a couple from Denver, and half their family was from Texas, and the other half was from the East Coast. So I got to work with them and tie in their musical taste into the night to make it unique to them. So it doesn't just feel like another wedding, right? So that's a lot of what I really love to do is take that extra time to dive deep and figure out the why we're here. Obviously we're there to get married and have, make it official, but why are the people that are invited to your wedding, why are they there? What do they mean to you, and how can we make them feel unique and so special to the experience that when they walk away, they're going to talk about your wedding for years to come. So this wedding this past weekend, I got referred to from a couple whose wedding I did last year, and the parents of that couple were at this wedding this past weekend, and they're like some of my biggest fans. Like they were so excited to see me again and be a part of another one of what they said, my weddings, to just celebrate again and get that experience again because they had such a good time when I did it for their kids. So that to me is like another priceless thing because I really don't want it to be about me. It's not about, I mean, weddings aren't about me. It's about the people there and the people that are celebrating. So, and even from sporting events and other things, that's where it's like I tell people all the time when I show up to an event and I DJ, I don't have my own agenda. My agenda is to read the room and look around and figure out what's going to work best for the people in the room that are from all walks of life so that when they walk away, they enjoy the experience that they just had that I curated. So even at a baseball game last weekend, I had a couple walk up to me. I saw them close, like watching me intently, and I was just doing my thing. And I always have, I love what I do. I truly, with my whole heart, love what I do. So I'm always having fun doing it. So after I was done, they found me in the crowd when I was watching the baseball game, and they came up like, "That was so cool! Like, what you were doing was so awesome!" And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was just, playing good music. It was free beer night, so I was playing beer, drinking music, and they were just stoked because they enjoyed the experience that they just shared, even though it was just for 5 minutes. So that brings me the ultimate joy in life is just being able to share smiles and celebrations with people in a way that is so unique to being able to just play music. I mean, music is such a powerful tool, and I see it every day how much it can impact people in a different way. And I just get fired up just thinking about it.
Well, Brigham, let me ask this one question to wrap up. And if someone was listening and they were either getting ready to launch something, getting ready to emerge, emerge into something, or maybe they're at that 2 to 3 year window of time after they've started, what would be a couple things, regardless if it was a product company or a service oriented company, what would be something that you would tell them to remember and to make sure that they don't forget?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a really good question, just like the last one. I mean, one of a big one that it may sound, cliche, but just don't give up. I mean, don't the the possibilities are endless, and good things take time. Silly saying, Rome wasn't built, in a day, right? Which is true. And I think as a young kid or a young entrepreneur, or not even young in age, but just young in the business, you have all this fire and all this drive, and sometimes you can hit walls, just brick walls that are going to be the ultimate stopping tool to keep you from to reaching your goals. And I've hit plenty of those. I've hit plenty and plenty of them. But to be able to just keep my head down and keep going and keep working, I think makes the payoff that much more sweet. So one, definitely don't give up. And then two, kind of what has been maybe the theme of our chat here today is just surrounding yourself with people who care. You know, your network is your net worth, is what they say, and I'm a full believer in that. And as you get older, the people that you know, you get in what you get out what you put in. So if you're surrounding yourself with bad people with bad habits and bad tendencies, you're going to see that in your life. If you surround yourself with people that are driven, goal driven, and you know, are healthy and happy and are living good lives as well, then you're going to see that in your life too, and also in your business. You know, have mentors, have people that you talk to that are, you know, whether it's in your industry or not, that you can bounce ideas off of, or that you can chat with about struggles of being in a business, so that when you get to those wins, those positives, you also have people to celebrate them with. Because what is the point of celebrating alone, you know, and being at the top alone, or, you know, achieving your goals alone? So I think that's a big part, is just surrounding yourself with people that mean a lot to you and that want the best for you. I mean, perfect example. We were chatting about it before the meeting started, but because I won this award, I'm gonna throw a party for all my friends this weekend. And I just as a thank you, because I'm like, I got friends, you know, I play on a soccer team. I, you know, work at the ski hill. I got all these friends and all these different groups of people. And I just want them all to be together. I'm like, let's all come together. Let's just dance and let's just have a good time and celebrate what you all have done for me that has gotten me to a place that I didn't ever think was, like, I thought it was possible, but I didn't know when it was going to happen, and I didn't know how it was going to happen. And now being here with the people that I call my friends and my family is priceless. It's amazing. And I'm so thankful, and I think about it every day, and how lucky I am to be with a woman that I love, and have a family that cares about me, and have friends that are behind me and believe in me and everything that I do. And yeah, just don't give up, and surround yourself with some awesome people. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Also, that's a big one. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help, whether it be for your mental health, your physical health, or your business health. Business health. I think there's a lot of great resources out there for all three of those things. So just, you know, like I said, with finding your limits, knowing your limits and pushing them and finding them is good for you. But then also, like, swallowing that and knowing what your limit is, so that you know when to ask for help, is a major been a major thing for me in my business. Because when I get to a point where I'm overwhelmed and I can't help myself anymore, then I know I need to reach out to whoever it may be to get me back to where I need to be. So
I think that's a great point. And for sure, the network of people you surround yourself with, and how those teammates, uh, how they contribute to the overall direction, I think is huge. But that piece that you just talked about, that paradox, that of pushing yourself, and when you hit an obstacle, still have the tenacity to not give up. And at the same time, that's balancing that uh, with being able to ask for help, and humbling yourself,
right.
ask for assistance. And I think that I think it's a paradox of living within the tension of that, because it's not going to be clear all the time of what
Right.
that's going to look like. So I think that's a great point. So
And then
go ahead.
sorry, before we end it here, but just to give you a little pat on the back, but I think a lot of that comes from being in the weight room and pushing ourselves, and a lot of what you instilled in us as at a young age in high school and football. So I think, you know, I'm a big weightlifter. I love being physically active. So I think that has helped a lot in me figuring out, you know, how to push myself, but in the proper way. And so I just want to say thank you for that, because I do think a lot of that started at 5 a.m. in the weight room
Yeah.
back in high school. So
If I remember correctly, you and Caleb and Carter really loved getting up, and Austin loved getting up that early.
yep,
So,
always,
yeah, well,
always.
awesome, Brigham. What for anybody who's interested in, you know, the beard oil, your products for that, or DJing, or just getting a hold of you, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Sure. Yeah, a couple different ways. Social media is always the best. On Instagram and pretty much all platforms for the beard company, it's just whatever the tagline is, and then Brigs Beard Co, or at Brigs Beard Co, or brigsbeardco.com. We'll take you right to our website, and you'll be able to find everything there. And pretty much similar with DJing, all my handles for DJing is underscore DJ Briggs, on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And then djbriggs.com is also where you can find my website, and you can contact me directly through there. So yeah, follow along. Would love to have you. Whoever listens, please join the journey. I'm very active on all social medias because it's just very much a part of my life and my job. So if you like to see some good outdoor Montana adventures mixed with some good parties, I'm your guy.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, Brigham, as always, I just always enjoy our conversations, and then watching as you have grown over this time period and as you're giving back to your communities wherever you're at. So I appreciate you being on the journey, and look forward to hearing about the party that you're going to be throwing this weekend, and about how things are going to be going with the University of Montana as well. So, well, again, thank you.
Appreciate that.
So as definitely, this is one of those conversations that we have that if you are thinking about, taking that chance or exploring that passion, definitely check out some of the episodes that Brigham and I have had and telling his story, because it's not always going to be a super straight line and a clear path, but it is a doable path if you're following that passion. And as Brigham said, one, being persistent and persevere, as well as surround yourself with good people. As always, thank you for being here, and I look forward to being with you next week.